Hey there, everyone. This is Samuel Johnson, and welcome back to the Lyoko Retrospectives. And today we're going to be discussing episode 58 of Code Lyoko, The Pretender. And in this episode, Yumi has a new admirer. In this case, a seventh grader named Johnny. According to the descriptions, he's like a friend of her younger brother, but for the life of me, I don't remember ever seeing him. But bottom line, because he's got a crush on Yumi. He wants to get he wants to get advice from someone that's older than him. In this case, Ulrich. And while Ulrich has been downgraded to the friend zone, he's still a jealous nitwit, and so he purposefully gives Johnny bad advice. In this case, follow Yumi everywhere, and she'll like him, even though he knows that it'll get on her nerves. It's stupid. And when he actually tells the rest of the group that this is his plan, they all say, "Dude, you're a dick." So, however, despite that, or in spite of that, Xana ends up launching another attack. Essentially, this time he goes for another swarm tactic, as like when he possessed the rats and the hornets, this time he possesses a murder of crows, and he sets them on the Lyoko group, with every one of their attacks sending a jolt of electricity right through the chosen victim's system. So, as such, when the group sees the flock of crows attack, they immediately run to the factory. But unfortunately, Yumi is not with the group when the murder attacks. She and Johnny are in the gym, and as a result, while the group ends up running to the factory, Yumi is sequestered and eventually gets cornered in a shed where the crows manage to break in and essentially assault her. They don't end up killing her, but they do end up doing a lot of damage, and to the point where when Johnny managed to get help for her, she has to get rushed to the hospital. As a result, as such, when the Lyoko group gets the Lyoko as you do, going through another murder of crows that's just outside the factory, and they end up going to the desert sector this time to deactivate the tower. However, when they realize that Yumi is However, as Jeremy calls Yumi's phone trying to get a hold of her, he instead ends up getting the principal, who he was one of the people that found Yumi like that, and the principal tells him, "I gotta call an ambulance." As such, Jeremy realizes that they need to do a return to the past, because Yumi's probably not doing so well, and they do manage to fight through a horde of monsters and deactivate the tower. But unfortunately, shortly before they deactivate the tower, the murder crows managed to get into the factory and attack Jeremy. Alita managed to deactivate the tower just in time so that Jeremy doesn't sustain the same injuries as Yumi, but he does end up getting knocked out, and as a result, they can institute a return to the past. And because of this, when Alita comes out of the tower, she and Ulrich, because Odd got devirtualized while they were outside, end up dealing with more of Xana's monsters. And as a result, when Ulrich gets distracted, the Schifozoa appears and attacks Alita, allowing Xana to possess her. As a result, a Manta comes in and gets her, and unfortunately, Ulrich is kind of next to useless because he got disarmed, and Xana's monsters, some kind of hilariously, destroyed his weapon. As a result, while Ulrich does the best he can to try and stop Alita from getting to the away tower for the desert sector, he ultimately fails, and the Xana possessed Alita manages to delete the desert sector, pretty much just leaving the ice sector and the mountain sector as the last two remaining sectors. Well, not okay. There are three sectors. I forgot, because sector 5 is just that's the one that's still the special circumstances deal. As such, just like with the forest sector, Alita is no longer possessed when the sector is deleted, and Odd manages to wake Jeremy up just in time so that he can institute a return to the past and get everyone out of there. With that, thankfully, Yumi is saved, and Ulrich now decides to, when Johnny goes to him for advice in this new timeline, Ulrich tells him that Ulrich gives him different kind of advice. In this case, he tells Johnny to tell Yumi Ulrich is a dumb idiot and he's sorry for his mistake. So Yumi decides to give Johnny another chance. By which I mean she lets him hang out with her and study with her. I'm because odds are they're probably not going to be they're not going to be dating since they're not in the same grade, and it's kind of they're not in the same grade. But bottom line, the end of the episode, they ended to try once more on a goofy finale because throughout the episode, Oric and Odd were having we're pretty much getting we're kind of having a dick measuring contest about who destroyed the most monsters on Lyoko, and Jeremy apparently ran a program to figure out who, and ultimately the winner is Alita. I personally don't trust the results because it's Jeremy. He's biased, but whatever. So, bottom line, the episode's all right. It's what kind of rubs me the wrong way is that it's ultimately kind of another Ulrich Yumi episode, and again, those situations tend to be kind of the dumbest aspects because, again, it's another example of Ulrich just being a dick. I think what ultimately in this case it's what kind of alleviates it though is that when he does undergo with his dickish behavior, his friends do say, "Dude, you're an asshole." So at the very least, I do kind of like that. And I'll give credit where it's due. While it did get a little annoying near the end when the stakes were getting higher, I did kind of find it amusing that Ulrich and Odd were in a kind of competition to see who destroyed the most monsters. Again, and when it gets down to the line, at that point you start thinking maybe they shouldn't be wondering about this anymore and just should be concerned with destroying the tower. But with that being said, they are still young, and odds are they're used to doing this sort of thing. So I think it would kind of make sense for them to have this little debate. So I think I did kind of find that amusing, and to give credit where it's due, I do like that they do keep it going even after the threat is stopped. Which actually, to go on, to kind of go veer away from that again, I actually did like seeing the Xana crows. It's again just something classic, just the kind of just kind of an old fashioned Xana threat. He does something. He does something evil, possesses something, and sends it after the group. In this case, it's not a person. It's a murder of crows, which yeah, they do actually reference Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds in it because when they see the murder, when the group sees the murder, Odd's like, I think there was like a movie about the birds attacking the main characters. It wasn't really that scary. And then the instant the crows wake up and attack them, he's like, I was wrong. This is really scary. It's actually really nice. And yeah, it is actually it actually is pretty kind of terrifying too. Just seeing these flocks of crows just hanging around everywhere, knowing that they will attack at some point. And just like when Xana possesses the hornets and the rats, it starts small, but it gets bigger. Like when at first he just possesses a single crow, but like with the last two instances, it grows. You see the numbers growing with it as he goes, and to the point where it becomes a very conceivable threat. And it's actually kind of terrifying seeing them just attack the group and eventually Yumi. In fact, Yumi's I think is the most brutal because she's left alone. She's stuck in this shack, and as her back's to the door, the crows just burst in through a window and just attack her. You see them keep just pecking and clawing at her, and every attack just sends a spark of electricity. She tries going for the door, they peck at her hand. She drops her phone, and they just do not let up. And by the time they finally stop, she's in such a bad condition that she has to go to the hospital. It's actually kind of it's kind of scary, and it kind of brings everything down to the wire. Just seeing everything get worse, and then to add insult to injury, before they can do a return to the past to potentially help her, Jeremy gets knocked out. Seconds before they deactivate the tower. It adds another layer of distress, which ultimately goes back to Xana's master plan for this season. When the instant he's out, the group Alita runs out of the tower, and they're assaulted by more monsters and the Schizozoa, which ultimately results in Xana being able to delete another sector of Lyoko. It helps make everything it helps just keep adding more layers, and throughout the whole episode, it does feel like more things are down to the wire. And again, they do have a lot of episodes like that, and to give credit where it's due, Lyoko does that well. When things really get down to the wire and you see people on the cusp of possibly dying or worse, it's actually pretty creepy and definitely terrifying. In this case, especially in this case where even after they deactivate the tower, it's worse because even with Yumi being rushed to the hospital, her condition gets worse. You see her and Johnny riding in. You see her on the ambulance with Johnny trying to comfort her, which is where she learns that which is where she learns that Ulrich was responsible, as she asks Johnny why he was following her around, and he talks about Ulrich. And as she's lying there, her pulse starts getting slower, and you're like, "Oh Lord, this is not going to work. This is bad. This is really bad." It definitely keeps you at the edge of your seat, and like with the last time, it all comes to a head when Xana manages to delete the desert sector. It's again nice mounting tension, which ultimately ends in an oh no type of scenario with Xana ultimately getting another big win in, which ultimately makes the stakes get even higher in the show, as now they're down to 2 sectors they can actively access. Well, again, I'm not talking about the Sector 5, because again, at this point in the show, Sector 5 had to be utilized with special access, with the Scipio password. But in the show, but as of right now, they are now limited to 2 sectors, Ice and the Mountain sector. So it definitely kind of helps raise the stakes even higher now, since half of Lyoko is now gone, and now they're down to these last 2. That kind of so it does make you think, oh shit, this is not going to end well, is it? So yeah, I do like that. I guess I had to think of any problems with the episodes. Is that again, I don't really like it. Again, while they do call Ulrich out on it, I don't like him still being a dick, even and being jealous. It still makes him my least favorite character as a result. And yeah, Johnny can be annoying because of that. And which, again, to his credit, he's still he's younger than Ulrich and naive. He was naive enough to listen to him, so I'll cut him some slack. He just got bad advice. And again, while I did like the whole Ulrich and Odd competing over who destroyed the most monsters, it was still kind of, it did get, when it got down to the wire, I'm thinking to myself, dude, is this really what you should be concerned about? And again, there was, actually, I'm trying to think, what was the thing? I forgot what my last complaint was. Oh, I don't know. I guess really the biggest problems are just those two. Oh yeah, the ultimate conclusion of that just being the ultimate conclusion to that. It's just sort of it's Jeremy saying Alita has the most score, even though she hasn't been able to destroy monsters until this season. So yeah, I'm just gonna call it biased on that. So yeah, but overall though, again, episode was definitely fine. Was definitely fine. Great threat, definitely great threat, great rising action, great tension, great finale, which helps me add another layer of oh crap to the whole scenario. Overall, still a pretty good episode. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and I'll see you next week. Take care.